What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense, and this is definitely a different type of video. I have worked on this video for over, like 6 days. I've not really made other content. There have been so many twists and turns and misinformation with this video. So I want to start with, we do not have a ton of time. We're not doing an intro. And for starters, ground rule. Couple things that we have to acknowledge, and if you're not really willing to acknowledge these two things, then this video is kind of like moot to you anyway. First, there was an opportunity for Karmelo to walk away, and also we have to acknowledge that Austin had no real authority to tell another individual what to do. At the most base level, if you felt that you needed to remove another player, then that is what your coach is for. That is what a resource officer is for. If we can't have an honest conversation, then we should not have the conversation at all. I have been so disgusted watching people pick this apart in a way that puts money in their pockets, in a way that absolutely does not account for two young black kids, i.e., Karmelo's brother and sister. Before I get, because there's a few different elements to this video. Again, this one is different than what I normally do. I want to start with why I had to do the video. When I spoke to somebody who is a, we'll say, Charlie Kirk type Republican, I had already kind of had in my mind how this video was going to go. And I asked about the father, Carmelo Anthony's father. I said, well, everybody, I'm hearing Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff, talk about black fathers not being in the home. And I'm trying to listen to this with an open mind, but you're a conservative. This is somebody that I know we are never on the same page politically, but I know that if I talk to this person openly and I have a direct conversation, if ever we meet in the middle, then I know I made a point. So I said, well, Carmelo Anthony's family is, for all intents and purposes, the family that everybody wants. 3 kids, a father who has a job that can support his entire family. The older son is a 3.7 GPA. Again, the father is in the house. They live in the suburbs. Save the kid's life. And the person told me, I don't like the father. And I said, wait, hold on. Huh? This is the family that people always say that black people don't have. What am I missing? There's an element to the way that the press is receiving a family that we're saying that it's not racial. I'm listening to everybody with an open mind. I literally have spent hours combing through just about everybody's talking points. Jeff, all the interviews that Carmelo's family has done, the spokespeople, which is a whole nother issue. I have sat and listened to everyone, conservative think pieces, and we're still saying something negative in regards to a black family who is comfortable enough to live in the suburbs. Son drives a Lexus, 3.7 GPA, has saved somebody's life. We don't know of times where he's been in trouble. No, Drew Anthony actually was a general finance manager at a major car lot. I'm only saying I could not piece together why there was so much talk about the father when, no offense, we're taking it there as early as possible. In another situation, if you had a young white kid who committed a murder in the way that this took place, the conversation would be, how could a kid from that family do that? The conversation would not, how could a kid from a great white family do that? The conversation would not be an attack on a father who fled Louisiana to give his family a better life, was smart enough to become the general manager of the finance department at a major car dealership. But that's not the conversation. And then I said, oh, this is about weight. This is about race. And maybe it's not the type of outward racism that we are accustomed to seeing where somebody says the N word, but maybe it's an inherent bias that some people don't even know they had. And then when I really deep dived on Austin's father, I said, oh, see, I'm a different kind of content creator. I take what you say and apply it. So we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. Let's start with what happened, because there's a lot of blame to place in a lot of places. And Karmelo Anthony is going to a track meet on a bus. He tells his mom, don't show up, it's raining. He is an alternate. So his coach does not do anything he didn't do anything like bring a tent. He understood that it was going to be raining and did not do it. So Karmelo Anthony's team actually hid out in a dugout while it was raining. A coach from the stadium where they were at, because it was another team stadium, told them to get out of the dugout. So his team, his coach is expecting that Karmelo's team is on the field stretching, but there's no place for these kids to go for cover. That's a problem. Some kids testified that they actually did get searched. Karmelo got in with the knife. Everybody has said so many different things about what the actual weapon was. It's a knife. And I can tell you that when I'm a kid from Louisiana and my grandpa gave me a pocket knife, that's it. It's a multi-tool pocket knife. It was a knife. It wasn't a cleat sharpener or any of these other things. It was a knife. He brought a weapon to school. So if you're going to have a tough conversation, you have to start with the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is you brought a weapon on school property. Now, in the state of Texas, that weapon is not illegal, but you are not allowed to bring it on school grounds. Additionally, one thing that I found extremely jarring about the situation was so many people kept saying he's not where he's supposed to be. I can tell you from my vantage point that I have been stopped. I have been harassed so many times by someone who does not have the authority to tell me where I should be. The most recent time while I was researching this case was a woman at my gym named Tara. Literally, that's the note that I got this weekend. You have to have a real conversation with your children, black, white, Indian, Asian, whatever the ethnicity. If you do not, have it with adults too. If you do not have the authority to tell somebody where they need to be, then don't do it. If you're not going to have a real conversation, because we're not going to pretend like anybody needed to walk away from this dead. This did not require a death. So we're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to sugarcoat it. This did not require a death. Everybody that I kept hearing, listening, I was just waiting for somebody to say, you need to have a conversation because who you might go up against might be crazy. Nobody said it. Nobody said it. There were so many think pieces. Yes, Austin Metcalf was murdered. But as a father, are you not going to say there were so many opportunities for my son to walk away? But let's continue. Let's continue. So Austin Metcalf had at some point been taken off the team. That morning, the coach texts him, allows him on the team, and actually says to him, be a team leader. I get it. If you don't feel like somebody should be in your area, your coach is only 20 feet away. It would only require you to say, hey, via text, because he's texting you, there's somebody here. I don't really know who they are. Or shit, I don't even want them here. But that's not what happened. So now you have a situation where someone testified, or actually multiple children testified that Karmelo Anthony had been invited under the tent. So I want to show you guys. Several witnesses testified that Karmelo was invited into the tent by a teammate, with some stated he was welcomed and greeted by a 17-year-old acquaintance named Eddie Parra. Let's get into Eddie Parra. Eddie Parra was actually a friend of Karmelo's. So we're setting the scene. I'm now getting soaked, drenched. I've called my mom, told her don't come. There's tornado warnings. There had already been everything had already been pushed back once before due to weather. So now we're here. I've tried to go into a dugout. I was told I couldn't. Maybe I have a little bit of attitude now because my coach didn't do what he was supposed to do. I'm an alternate. If you've ever been to a track meet, you know, of the sporting events, that is usually like an all-day thing. You could be there for hours waiting before your event ever even comes up. I actually did both field events and shot put and discus. So I get it. There's a lot of time wasted. Also, a narrative that kept being said was, you need to be with your own team. Yeah, on the football field, soccer field, but when you're doing like a whole stadium event, people are sitting in the middle on the grass. People are standing around. You have different teams talking to each other, different people flirting with one another. A track meet is a little less formal. So we'll get into it. Let's get back to Eddie really quickly. So Eddie is a friend. They have multiple photos together. Karmelo's actually dating Eddie's play cousin. He's been to the house. They have pictures. They play video games. They've gone out. They were seeing each other about a couple times a month, whether they were double dating with their girlfriends, whatever. Eddie invites him there. Witness testimony said that once Karmelo was under the tent, Eddie actually switched seats with another teammate so that he could sit next to Karmelo. They dab each other up. Eddie says that Karmelo is saying something like your team sucks or something to that effect. I'm just going to tell you guys from the testimony what makes sense and what doesn't make sense to me. If he's saying that your team sucks, why are you dapping him up? Why are you going to sit next to him? When Eddie is actually giving his testimony, he says he doesn't really know them like that. He doesn't know him like that. They're casually acquainted and only through family. So Karmelo is there. I want to show you. It's not a big tent, and the tent is going up the bleachers. Karmelo is sitting at the very end. Austin decides that Karmelo should not be up there. And actually, more kids, including some black kids, also testified that they were wondering why he was there as well, and they had told Karmelo to leave. So I want to be very clear as we're talking about this. I think that both boys definitely played a major role in how this ended up. And I can't say this enough. Nobody should have ended up dead from this situation, but someone is dead. At the time that somebody's telling you to leave, I can see where somebody would be like, I'm not leaving. Additionally, I don't know if you've ever been around people who are smaller in stature. They don't like being told what to do. I could see there being a situation because he was asked to leave 15 times. And when the kids are talking about it, they are sugarcoating it. They were calling each other bitch. There was fuck around and find out. All these things are being said back and forth to one another. And the one person who could have resolved it all did not. And that was Eddie. At no point did Eddie tell his teammates, I invited him here, or this is my boy. Instead, what Eddie did was he played it up. Eddie sat there and said, you don't got a knife. You don't got nothing in that bag. And pretended to record the situation. So now I'm thinking, because there have been reports that Austin was off the team and his brother Hunter actually had some issues as it pertains to self-control. So you have two boys who are twin, who are 83 pounds heavier than the boy they are telling to get out of, get from under their tent. And one boy admittedly has to be calmed down in situations. You'll start seeing clips. Let me see.
As me, I know I'm a little more, spontaneous. I like to do stuff all around and just get out of line sometimes. And, Austin's always there to check.
So you have a boy who's smaller in stature being approached by two boys who are 83 pounds heavier than them. I think Karmelo was like around 5'8", 5'7". They're 6 foot. Karmelo could have left. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Karmelo could have left at that point. This is before anybody put his hands on him. His friend, who has now turned on him, which I could understand is making him angrier, but all the more reason to leave if the one person who invited you over is not saying, I'm with him. That's where ego comes into place. And I'm not even going to lie, after listening to everything, testimony, watching Nick at Night's explanation of the court case, I also think if you were being poked or prodded and you know that you have a weapon on you, it emboldens you to some degree. It emboldens you to some degree because you could have walked around. And I'm glad somebody said this. No, there were 4 to 6 guys surrounding him. This is part of the issue. So if you go to, let me show you. Here we go. If you go to reports from people who are out there, they will tell you something different than every other person who saw the video told you, which aids in the confusion. This particular gentleman says that he saw the tape and right away, and let me let you hear some of it.
On 2 hours, was it clear enough or was it fuzzy or what?
No, it was clear. It was okay. It's clear enough where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the camera.
Okay.
That's how clear it is. You actually see them walking up. You see that Karmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business.
Dodging the rain or?
Yeah, it was still raining. You know,
right.
I'm from Louisville. So that day we were under a tornado watch.
Right.
And we were under thunderstorm warning, and we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again. Then it was over with for the day.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already. And so during that time when that happened, the twins, their two buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them, they were all coming from the direction of the middle school, coming walking back up.
Right.
On the video, you can see those 4 that actually was involved and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to the coach and kind of distract him a little bit. And
there you go. There's my problem. I can appreciate anybody who's socially conscious enough to want to go see a cause, take your time and be there. But I'm a literal person. Unfortunately, it's just who I am. You are using coded language. You're using coded language. If you're giving a firsthand account of the video, there would be no reason for you to say they went to go distract the coach. That tells me that this individual has it tells me that there is an agenda behind what he's saying. That means that it's like a little bit further on when we get into the actual trial part of this, all of the team members of Austin used coded language. Each one of them said the word provoked. Multiple of them had a stress reliever ball, and they were allowed to call him a murderer, which in any other court, the defense attorney would have objected to. That didn't happen here. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. All of these people, this is why this took so long. There were so many people who have an agenda here. And so it's such like a polarizing topic that people no longer say just what it is. If it was 2 kids that ran to the coach, they ran to the coach. But by saying it this way, it insinuates that there was a strategy to go straight up to him and pummel him. I watched Nick at Night, somebody who was at the Diddy trial with me, and Mel, his channel like Watch Something. They also saw the video. So when you're listening to some of these people on the street give their rendition of what happened or their version of what happened, they're saying that automatically they were surrounded. Mel and them are saying you can't see all of that in the video. See, I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I do believe that there is issues all around with the behavior, the reporting, and the race and rage baiting that we're seeing. Let's get in. Let's continue. We were at. Yes, I'm aware. There are 2 videos. The problem, and we're here now, so let's get into the specific. There are 2 videos. The problem is when you go through all of the stamps from reporters that I actually trust and YouTubers who I actually trust who were there, for this some of the people who were on the ground, their version would not account for the fact that there is a timestamp where Karmelo is actually coming into the stadium at the time they are saying that he was already sitting down. Additionally, all the people that I actually know and trust have said that there was a 4 to 5 minute window where nothing was happening. All the kids were underneath that tent and nothing was actually going on. That's when there was the bitch this and all of that. So if you feel, you are more than welcome to go through everybody else's rendition. I have gone through all of theirs, and this is what I have come up with. We're going to get into all of them giving Fox News exclusive interviews. That's another problem. That's a whole nother problem. Let me see. So now you have a situation where Karmelo and Austin, neither one of them, like, kids fight. We know that kids are going to fight, but there were alternatives up until this point. Now, when we get to the space where Austin puts his hands on Karmelo and you hear the testimony, it's more coded language. One kid said he softly pushed. In what world? If I've called you a bitch, we're now at it with one another. My twin brother has come in. I'm 220 pounds. My brother has impulse control. If you were giving testimony to the court, why would you use the word softly push? What football players do you know that softly push somebody? That's a quote. Now, people have said that Karmelo has epilepsy and things of that nature, but another person testified that they used a football move on him where you almost lift the person up. This is where things get janky, and the problem is Karmelo did not testify. Every lawyer that I spoke to said there would need to be something that you are seriously hiding for you not to testify in this type of situation. This is where you could really bring color and context to what happened to you, how fearful you actually were or were not. If I'm just going to be completely honest with you, to hear that in all of the testimony, Karmelo's defense attorney only objected to 2 things is crazy. And there's a real issue with that when it comes to an appeal. See, a lot of people are spreading misinformation. You have to look up the demographics of where they are. This is not Dallas proper. That is a major metropolitan area that has a lot of Black people in it. This is a county, an area that is very thinly populated with Black people. So everybody who just feels like you can go in and appeal this because there were not enough Black people on the jury, that's inaccurate. A jury of your peers does not necessarily mean that you're going to have a certain number of people who are your same ethnicity. So the demographics stand, I think it's between 8 to 10% of that county are African American. So even if you were going by that standard, you might get 1 juror. Unfortunately, in Karmelo's situation, and this is where you can potentially appeal, there were 3 Black female teachers who were there and could have been jurors, and the judge told them, or the judge dismissed them. One Black guy said that he couldn't put he could not put a young Black man in jail, so of course you're going to get dismissed. But the 3 Black jurors, I mean, the 3 black potential jurors who were teachers, that's not normal. No, refusal to testify does not prove a person's guilt. However, in this type of situation, every attorney that I spoke to said that it would have been within his best interest to testify. That way he could have really spoken to why he felt like he had to defend himself in that way. There were a lot of very interesting things. Again, shout out to Mel. This is an attorney who was interviewed by Mel, who actually practices in that county and has been in that courtroom as a defense attorney. This is what he had to say.
If somebody pushes you, you don't get to stab him. If you do stab him because they push you, there's this law in Texas, it's proportionality when you have self-defense. You are allowed to use non-deadly force against non-deadly force. Somebody pushes you, you can punch him. Somebody pushes you, you can kick him. Somebody pushes you, you can hit him. But you can't use deadly force versus non-deadly force. Somebody pushes you, you can't shoot him. Somebody pushes you, you can't stab him in the chest because that's deadly force. If you do use deadly force when somebody uses non-lethal force against you, then you go on to the next test. You have to have a reason. You have to have a damn good reason. And ergo is the problem with Karmelo. Because he didn't testify, we never got that reason why, if somebody made contact with you or pushed you, that you went the extra yard to be able to get the multi-tool and stab him.
So Calvin.
Okay, so again, that's Mel. He was in the Diddy trial with me. He was there every day, took notes, came out of the trial and gave an unbiased opinion. So I trust Mel. Nick at Night was another person who sat next to me multiple days at the trial. Both of these people went to the trial and took notes. I want to show you this because there are things that have me raising my eyebrows. One is how you are received in court. There are typically strict rules that tell you not to make eye contact with the jury, not to show too much emotion. And if you have to show emotion, leave. That's not what happened. And I'm going to get on my people now. That judge is elected. So when I see comments like this, it makes me want to pull out my hair that I already don't have. Voting is not doing anything. We got to boycott all these racist towns, buy black only, stop spending your money. No. In this particular situation, if I'm going to be quite honest with you, this is a very conservative judge. He is an elected judge. And the only way for him not to be a judge would be for people to vote. We cannot just always say that there are not benefits to voting because he's an elected official. And he's telling you where he stands. He is a conservative. So one thing that the activists did, Karmelo Anthony activists did, was they did pull his record to show, if he happens to be harder on minorities. That is something that they did that I definitely appreciated. But yes, if you are not going to vote or you're not going to show up to jury duty, because I'm really big on takeaways from situations. That is a very easy takeaway. Show up to jury duty. For the black man who told the truth, you can't hate on somebody for telling the truth. But I guarantee you that there were people who sat on that trial who were not black, who did not say anything about whether they would feel a certain way about ethnicity. They asked him a direct question. He gave them a truthful answer. But I'm pretty sure there are people with racial bias on that jury. And they answered those questions about racial bias with a lie. But that's the truth. This judge did not have to dismiss 3 black teachers. They weren't Karmelo Anthony's teachers. So whenever they go to the Court of Appeals, that is going to be one of those things that they discuss. But I'm side-eyeing that decision, but I'm not surprised given this man's track record. In terms of the things that have been said about him, as far as I know, one was true, one was a lie. First, they said that the judge around 2018 had basically the courts found that he tried to tie in him being a judge, his wife being a lawyer, with the book that they were trying to sell. And they were using language like, if you join our club, which is like $499 a month, you can be a part of our team. You can't, from the bench, promote that attorneys who pay $500 a month for a fee to be on your app would be a part of your team. Because then it so easily somebody who is arguing cases in your court could then go and buy the $499 membership, and now they are part of your team. And then people would think that you are currying favor with this man that you're paying $500 a month. This man knew that. He researched it, but never asked any higher ups. There was no judicial review. There was nothing to indicate that he had actually asked if he was breaking the law. The other thing that was said about him, because we're clearing up lies and talking about truths, around 2008, To Catch a Predator came to his county. He was aware of it. One of the people who had interacted with a young boy, was a DA. That DA unalived himself when he did not show up to the decoy's house, but because To Catch a Predator had to catch a flight, they got the police to go to his house, didn't actually do everything that they should have done and take the time that they should have taken to get the warrant and then execute the warrant because they wanted it for the television show. That man unalived himself, and his sister sued for, I think it was like NBC, for $108 million. And he let that lawsuit, the lawsuit go, allowed it to happen. And 16 of the predators, he refused to try the cases. So 16 people allegedly tried to interact or try to go to a home where they thought they were going to be sleeping with a young person. And this particular judge said, we're not going to try those cases because they did not follow procedure. But the reason that it gave me pause is as I'm watching some of the people on the ground discuss it, pro Karmelo people, they are saying that Candace Matthews said that he was actually one of the predators. And I'm like, that's not the case. So I'm giving you guys the reality. He allowed 16 predators to go and allowed a case for $100 million to go from a man who was trying to get with a 13-year-old. Those things are true. He did not stop Karmelo. He did not stop Anthony's mom from making a scene where she was crying in court, which is typically a no-no.
She just broke down and crying. Like, she's crying. Then, her boyfriend is like consoling her. It's this whole thing. The jury is watching all of this play out. And one of the jurors, I was looking at her and I could tell like she felt sorry. I can't read her mind, but just her expression, like she just looked like she felt sorry for the mom. Like she kept looking over that way. And you could just tell, like, anytime they played the 911 call or showed the body cam or anything like that, like she was looking like she was fighting hard not to cry. Like
that would never have flown in New York. Like, for instance, Diddy kept looking at the jurors, and that was a sidebar, a recess, and he was admonished for that. But this man, now this is just my opinion, I don't think that Karmelo had a shot in this man's courtroom. That's just my opinion. Mel had this to say.
In his court, things do move fast, but I've never seen anything move that fast. I've never seen anybody get sentenced, found guilty, sentenced, and move to the state jail facility like that. No. When you're in his court, he's efficient. But that fast? No, I've never seen anything that fast in my life.
And how the judge was interacting with Karmelo.
Telling us he had epilepsy. So obviously you can see something happening. At some time I'd see the judge just staring at him, you know. I'm not even going to get into that because I don't want no smoke, but the judge for like, I don't want to go there. Anyway.
We're going to get into Jeff Metcalf. We have a whole, I'm going to really go in depth on not only Jeff Metcalf, but Carmelo Anthony's father as well. There's a lot of things that I think need to be cleared up. There's some areas where I think he failed his son. There's some areas where I think the mom failed her son. And you might be surprised. Additionally, I'm listening to all of these people explain what happened. And one thing that I heard was that he was surrounded and jumped. This is in response to that.
I was watching something earlier, and I think Dominique Alexander, one of the spokesmen for the family, he admitted that he was not being jumped, or he said that Karmelo was not being jumped. And see, that's part of the reason why attorney-client privilege is sometimes not having a spokesman or having a spokesman is not the thing to do, because now you got somebody on your team coming in and admitting that you were not jumped, at least.
So, this is testimony about the brother, because it wasn't just Austin that was going at him. He did have two big ass dudes, as in Karmelo did have two big ass dudes going back and forth with him.
In there, don't act like you got something in there, like Austin as well. So Eddie admits, because after all of the people who were saying Hunter wasn't involved, Eddie admitted that both Hunter and Austin were both saying something to Karmelo. Like Hunter was saying, "You ain't got nothing in that bag," and so was Austin.
This is also in response to whether he was supposed to be there or not.
To this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is like because they have personal items there.
A lot of stuff gets stolen just like that, just precautions and stuff. And our coaches always told us don't let, other schools, like mess with our stuff, just sit around our tent area. We set that up for the girls track every meet we had. So it's just like, he knew he wasn't supposed to be there. It's just a tragedy.
I think he's a liar. I think all of his little friends are lying. I think the guy Eddie lied. I think if you go on Fox News with the mother who has just lost a son, and you're talking in coded language, like there's been issues with people stealing, and the coach told me, there's nothing to indicate. There's nothing that they had, that the prosecution had to show that there was an issue with people stealing. This is what I said. This video is not any of the bullshit. We're going straight through the bullshit. The fact that there is a black boy underneath your tent, on a normal hot sunny day, you might be like, what up? What is going on? But in this situation, he was invited under the tent. He's cool with the boy who's sitting next to him, and it's raining extremely hard. The bottom line is you just didn't want him there. And if you go further than that, you have no authority to tell somebody where they can and cannot sit in a stadium. There's no assigned seating. This is not your bench on a basketball court where those particular seats are earmarked for you and you only and your team. This is not that. And it is absolutely deceptive to get on national TV and use the words stealing and I don't know him and strange boy and he's aggressive when you have two sons. I mean, you have a son that admitted that he's aggressive and has impulse control. Y'all see where I'm going there? These things are problematic. I want to show you before we move into like the fathers. I want to get into the racial aspect. So what we're about to watch is a video. I covered this a couple years ago, but I think it's extremely poignant in this case because not everything that you see is going to be out loud. Some things are inherent biases that you don't even know that you have. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. If you are not new to the channel, please hit that like button. This was actually what I would consider a passion project. We haven't even gotten to him, but we have a whole thing on him. Because he's the reason I couldn't go on 3 days ago. I have watched so many hours of him, and we'll get into it. What Trey is talking about is this: the father being somebody who sexually assaults people. But let's get into racism really, really quickly and inherent bias. This video is of two little girls, both the same age. I believe they were 7 years old. They were placed in a busy courtyard at the same time of day, same age, and look at the people's reaction. There's no sound, but what you see is the young white girl going to the same spot in the same courtyard, and person after person stop and ask her, is she okay? Does she need help? Where are her parents? A young black girl does that. She's being ignored. Nobody comes over. And, you know, if you are new to my channel, I like to give historic reference points. I also like to talk about things that other people aren't necessarily comfortable. In this country, a young black girl is oftentimes seen as older than she is. She's sexualized at an earlier age. And that's why people who traffic oftentimes seek to traffic young black girls, because they are perceived as older, they're perceived as more sexual, and they know that law enforcement does not look for them with the same veracity as they do other ethnicities. What can be said for black boys, because I've seen debates, is is hypermasculinity, physical dominance. I've seen debates even from black people talking about, well, he looked like he couldn't be trusted because of his hair, and after he got a haircut, he's more streamlined. And I'm like, so we say this is not about race, but then we talk about his physical appearance. And when we give press releases to Fox News, we mention the fact that things are being stolen. I would be remiss as a black man to say it does not infuriate me to see how the media spun this. And they spun it in such a way that's so under the fucking radar that if you're not actually listening closely, you may not hear it. Unfortunately for the media, this is what I do. It's insane to have a conversation on a thinly populated Texas, a thinly populated, I'm sorry, a town that is thinly populated by black people in a conservative part of town, where you are consistently hearing the parents say certain people don't belong. I'm not missing it. I'm hearing it loud and clear. So I showed you this just as an example of racism being explained in a way that is structured, in a way that people can't say, well, that's happenstance. There was nothing to indicate that that boy was a threat to stealing any of your stuff that day. And if we can't have honest conversations about what that looks like, then there's no need to have a conversation. I want you to hear it again.
To this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is like because they have personal items there.
A lot of stuff gets stolen just like that, just precautions and stuff. And our coaches always told us don't, other schools, like mess with our stuff, just around our tent area. And we set that up for the girls track every meet we had. So it's just like, he knew he wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a tragedy.
It's not about race, guys. It's not about race. But we're going to go on Fox News and talk about people stealing shit. And that's how he knows that he's not supposed to be there. When multiple kids, now this is where I'm a fair channel. Multiple kids testified, no, we've hung out. There was times where there was photos of him and the little liar at another track meet a week earlier, sitting together. The only people who staunchly said that nobody was supposed to be under the memorial tent were the memorial kids, who I believe lied. This man lied because, as he was saying that he did not know Karmelo, when the defense attorney got a hold of him and he showed all the photos, Nick and Mel both said that they saw the mother's face, and the family were looking like, what the fuck? As if the family is now realizing that he's the culprit. You invited this boy over. You didn't tell anybody he was with you. And as things escalated, you pulled out your phone, egged things on, and pretended to record and laughed and called Karmelo's bluff and was like, you don't have a knife. Meanwhile, Karmelo had a knife that he was opening up in his bag as he was going back and forth with these two dudes who were 83 pounds heavier than him. This man is the culprit, and the family was actually surprised to see just how many times and instances that they had been together. When we get back to the judge very briefly, I want you to hear the judge. Let's see. Oh, I hope I have it queued up.
In his court, things do.
That's not it. Okay, I'll just have to tell you, I don't think I actually queued that up. Oh, here we go.
Up like the 7th or 8th photo showing them together hanging out, Eddie's with Carmelo's grandmother. The prosecutor says, okay, I've had enough of this. Like, can we get this going? And the judge looked to the defense and like, I've had enough of this too. But they were trying to build their case. You know what I mean? So to me, that seemed like that's like you need to get done. Like he needs to work on it, right?
No, well, what you do there is wait a minute, Judge. I'm doing my case. They put this witness on. I'm making sure that this jury knows that this witness is lying. That's when you get strong. You don't let a judge do you like that.
So a major component of the case was the fact that Karmelo was invited by the defense attorney, who didn't have too many wins in this court case, actually showing that this boy, Eddie, was lying and that they really were friends. The prosecution says, I'm getting tired of this. And the judge says, me too. You're getting tired of the defense attorney making a witness look like a liar. Isn't that what you're supposed to do in court? This is why you have to vote in local elections. And not only that, while we're talking, since we're having an open conversation, what I have noticed in a lot of conversations is everybody wants to talk about where money comes from. Well, shut the fuck up. If you have a candidate who is not backed, has worked really hard, then maybe donate $5 or $10. You can't be that outraged by all of the people who have, are backed by some political PAC, and you're so mad about this and so mad about that, but you don't vote, you don't go to jury duty, and you never even give $5 or $10. One of my friends and my former boss's wife ran campaigns to get elected for judgeships. That shit is not cheap. It's not cheap. But when you go with a political PAC, then all of a sudden people are like, you're a sellout. So what is it? We can't say that we are outraged about things like this. You have a judge who speeds through everything even faster than a person who has been in his courtroom and can attest to the fact that it's faster than he's ever been. When the defense attorney's actually doing well, you side with the prosecutor to move to stop him from making his point. You're staring at Karmelo. You're not stopping members of the victim's family from having outbursts and crying in court and meeting eyes with the jury. Just a thought. Just a thought. Now that we've gone through the races, where I do think that there was a racist element to it, let's talk about this live very briefly. Everybody said it was an all-white jury. No, it wasn't an all-white jury. No, there were no black people. We kind of explained why there were no black people. But we're not going to pretend like there's not racial tension between Middle Eastern, Asian, Hispanic people with black people in Texas. I don't have to go into all of the racial things that go on, but academic scholarship and community forums note that there are varying degrees of anti-black racism persistent within the segments of the Arab and Middle Eastern communities. Because of the racial hierarchy in America, both groups harbor implicit biases, often fueled by a lack of prolonged interaction and systematic media portrayals. That's for Asian people. So no, to say that you are a black man and there is a ethnically diverse jury that consists of majority white conservative people, Middle Eastern, Asian, and Hispanic people, and you feel like this in this country, that's going to be a fair trial in a conservative county for a black man. Got it. I told you this was not going to be a feel good. This is going to be the reality. Just to show you guys what the tents look like. Where do I want to go next? Let's talk about the dad. Let's talk about the what's his name? Drew Anthony, the black father. Initially, I was extremely upset. And I was upset at him because of who he chose to represent him. Then I started to like really deep dive, and I could see that there was an issue between the mother and the father. Somebody said that the mother and father seemed slow. When I really dived into it, I don't think that they are slow. I think that they are from small town Louisiana and have probably led a more simple life. Additionally, they are the hope and dream of the slave. Kids with good grades, not in trouble up until this. A kid who saved a life, a kid who's held down 2 jobs, 3.7 GPA, captain of the football team. But there was a split because the father, I think maybe has some potentially misogynistic tendencies, went with Charleston White to be his spokesperson, and the mother went with the minister who has a record. I don't think that they were prepared for this world, what it looks like for social media. They weren't prepared for the ups and downs of living in a white community that now thinks that your son has murdered a white person and you were never supposed to be here to begin with. Yes, after watching everything, I think that the person that he's talking about was Charleston White and the minister with the record. But let me tell you why I have a core issue with Charleston White. I think he's trash. And I'm going to show you a lot of clips that involve Charleston White because it's going to speak to the father's, what I believe to be the father's shortcomings. I think his biggest plus was seeing that there was a need to remove his family from the drugs and crime that's in Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana, and I can tell you that my small town at one point made the news because we had more drug dealers per capita than, I think we were like number 10 in the United States. So I can understand the need and desire to move your family to a place to get a better life. And unfortunately, if you've ever studied anything about Texas does not have the best school districts unless you are in an area that is wealthy. Those school districts in wealthy areas, which oftentimes are white areas, typically have the best funding, teachers, they are highly ranked. So I'm not going to fault this man for marrying his wife, having children, being smart enough to do well enough to live a comfortable life in the suburbs. I'm not faulting him there. I'm faulting him for not explaining to his son, who he moved into an all-white neighborhood, that color is a thing. Race is a thing. Race is a thing. You can be the best. You can be the fastest. You can be the smartest. And you can drive a Lexus. You can have all of these accolades, but at the end of the day, you are still a young black man in a majority white conservative county. And just like you had a friend who, you took pictures with him, you were at his grandmother's birthday party, you double dated, and the minute he gets around his white friends, he says, "You are just an associate, but that boy is my brother." I think that's where Karmelo's father failed him the most. I'm not just going based on my interpretations. I'm going based on interviews, conversations that people had on lives, not just on the news. I'm talking about, I deep dove. I have been doing 8 to 9 to 10 hours a day going through all of these things. So yeah, I'm not just making it up. He really felt like, I'm giving them a better life and I'm not teaching my kids to see color. But if you see Karmelo, you see color. And all it takes is you to scratch the surface, and now you're a nigger with a hard ER, like Austin's dad uses when he's on live for he's on Twitter Spaces for 13 hours. And in that 13-hour live, he called some woman a nigger. So yeah, this is what Charleston had to say.
You did care about Karmelo for a little bit.
I did care about Karmelo because I went with the Metcalf family at first.
But you went back to Karmelo. Come on, show your soft. Why you don't be wanting to show your soft side?
I did go back to Karmelo. Karmelo daddy paid me $3,000 to meet with me.
And that was a blessing. And
there was no blessing.
Yes, because you got the story out there.
He did $3,000 and he was begging for GoFundMe.
Listen, you got the story out there.
The people sent $600,000 for his son. He spent $3,000 on me to buy me.
You still got the story out there.
He saw what Charleston White was saying about his son and sought Charleston White, paid him to help him be a spokesperson. There's a problem there. There's a problem there.
Well, he paid me, but I got the Metcalf story first. The story was already out there. The story was already out there when Karmelo dad came for pay me that money. Karmelo family paid me to be on their side. I didn't just jump on their side. I was paid.
I know, but listen.
So once
we know.
once you can't pay me no more, guess what I do? Jump ship.
We know, listen, we know you're going to be the bad guy. We know you're going to be the bad guy.
It's like, this is.
I'm not going to say this, but I'm going to say this, and y'all can apply it however you want. If you've ever been in a black barber shop, every now and then a crackhead might come in, and that crackhead will spit so much shit. They'll be jumpy. The movements are erratic. They are going to tell you that they, in prison, they learned the whole law library. They can help you. They can do whatever. I'm not saying anything. You read between those lines as it applies to what we just saw and what I think about Charleston White and what I think about this man putting his son's life in the hands of Charleston White. We're not done.
Over for the Metcalf fan. Then I gotta make comment for the hate racist heart people. So I gotta make something for everybody. He don't know what he wanna do. I make something for everybody. I say Karmelo, I say Jeff, I say I make something for everybody. So I got fans. So guess what? My views go up, my engagement go up. Now if I just stayed over here with Karmelo, I'm gonna lose people. Aiden Ross hates Charleston, he's a murderer. I can't have Aiden mad at me, that's my nephew. Then I got my other people over here. Man, you ride with the white folk, man. Listen, the white man came in peace and love at first. I was with him at first. Were you with the white man at first? Yeah. I came and got with everybody. Now it's time for me to make money off everybody. I'm satisfied. Don't get mad at me. I'm finna have some free Karmelo shirts. I got the watermelon felon shirts for the Metcalf people. I'm finna have free Karmelo, no touchdown, no peace. I'm finna have them shirts for the poor niggas that want to beg for something. I got stuff for everybody. I swear to God I do. Everybody can get it. Anybody can get it. Everybody got it. Anybody can get it. I got it for everybody. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it.
He went on to say that he is not he's not an activist. He doesn't want to be an activist. And I'm gonna have to download it really quickly because there's some stuff that I want you to hear for sure. But what's actually happening when he talks is he's letting you know some of the background and some of the conversations he's had with Karmelo's dad about the case, which is extremely dangerous, which is why I'm like, I can give you props for taking your family out of an area that had drugs. I can give you props for up until the murder, raising a good kid. I can even acknowledge that if you were a white family and done all these things, then you would be on an episode of Snapped, and it would be completely, the media would be completely sympathetic to a white family whose son was a quote unquote murderer. But the way that they are vilifying this family speaks volumes to the fact that there are racial disparities in the way that people are seen in this country. He went on to say,
the people I'm taking them to got 12 million, 20 million. Why? They with me.
Presence, so them teams got a large presence.
On a media run, way bigger than Sarah Field. The people I'm taking them to got 12 million, 20 million. Why? They with me. And they're getting 10,000 per interview. I don't know how much Sarah paying this motherfucker. I got Say-Cheese TV getting 10,000. I got Vlad TV. Who else we got? Sean Mike Kelly. Oh man, I'm 30,000 meter in their pocket like that. Just like that. I'm sharing my revenues with them. Because I make a lot of money doing this. I'm sharing my revenue to take care of the family. I'm moving back. I'm going to save the day. Can't nobody save the day but me when it comes to this boy. Don't nobody have the knowledge of brain development. So I'm going to challenge you to go look at the Miller versus Graham ruling by Constitution law. When you're under the age of 18, 21, and you commit such a crime, the courts is mandated and have to, along with the defense and prosecutor, to bring in mitigating factors and mitigating circumstances. That's why they avoid it. Because if we bring in the mitigating factors and the mitigating circumstances, they're going to find out that one child comes from a loving, nurturing home. Two children come from a violent, abusive, alcoholic home.
Hold on, they're still downloading.
14 years old, we went to go kill a white man. And look at me now. Texas Republican Party member. Tarrant County GOP Republican Party member. Election judge. Precinct nominated. And I killed a white man. So I'm almost thinking, it's been over 35 years since I done it. That's nothing. It's nothing. No one even remembers that I killed a white man. So I get to go live my life and be free. And nobody knows I killed a white man. And walk by, I don't even know.
That's not true. This cracky has been able to reshape his entire story. That's not true. And the craziest part, and why I'm giving this to you, is because his story is actually extremely similar to Karmelo's. He was an underage kid who decided to rob a store, and a white man, aged 34, decided to, I hate to say this, but to be Captain to save a hoe. He went out, followed the kids, banged on the window, and told them to give back the jackets that they stole. Charleston then gives a pow-pow to his friend, who shoots and kills the man. Charleston then testifies against his friends. All of this stuff, this bravado that, you know, I killed a white man and I'll do it again and I loved it, and it's bullshit. I fault my people for giving him a voice, and I fault white people for utilizing him to make fun of us. But this was central when he starts discussing that he's not an activist and why he's not an activist, even after the father sought him out.
If you're not going to God daily, and I ain't going to, once I got money, I'm going to be with a hoe. God. I catch God on the deathbed. Right now, live and breathing in a vibrant, thumping hip game, I'm with hoes. God. You get to God in the back end of life like everybody else. But don't nobody want to have to be committed and dedicated to a cause that seems hopeless.
This was how he explains how he met the father.
He agreed with it. If his son was innocent, if his son was guilty. He said he got other kids. And homie, he done worked hard to get to where he at. He not fit to put this kind of time and attention beside a son who wrong. I looked the father in the eye when he said that. Homie, why would you come meet with me? All the things I'm advocating for your son to go to jail for a long time. I'm with that family.
You were part of a murder in Dallas where this happened, where a white man came up to you that didn't have any authority to come up to you, and as a result was murdered. Are y'all seeing the correlations between Karmelo and Austin with this story? And then you would advocate for Karmelo to go to jail longer. All of these things are happening, and the father says he researched you and paid you to be his son's spokesperson.
The spirit I heard in him, I brought him to my home. I gave him my address. Don't know what I'm doing. But wrong. I don't want to be wrong and act like I'm right. Did your son take that knife to school? Nah, Mr. Charleston. It's a grown man, homie. He said, man, I done the research on you. I looked into what you do. If my son get out of this, man, I want my son to work with your youth campaign. But man, my son didn't do this. I got other kids to raise. I'm not for to put, and he really done it. He said he didn't do it, man. It's more things that I can't say. Just go clear this kid.
In the gun out the backseat of the car.
Oh man, hold on. Here we go.
In the gun, out the backseat of the car.
16-year-old Charleston White took the stand and testified against his friend, Antoine Doolittle, who sat just a few feet from him and listened intently.
He pulled it off, and there's a hammer back on the gun.
And then what happened?
He fired it.
Doolittle is accused of gunning down 34-year-old Michael Levy of Irving. Levy attempted to stop Doolittle, White, and 2 other teenagers accused of shoplifting 3 sports jackets.
Remember what I said at the beginning of the video? We can't have an honest conversation if we don't talk about people taking things into their own hands. The thought that in any way, shape, or form, you are able to tell somebody else what to do, and by doing so, you put your life at risk. That is a basic conversation that if Jeff Metcalf, Austin's father, was really concerned about other kids, he would be having. But we are about to get into him. And I'm about to put my foot all the way up his ass.
And a baseball cap from an Arlington mall in September of 1991. Witnesses say Levy pounded on their windshield until the teens threw the jackets out the car window. Then Doolittle supposedly shot him in the back as Levy walked away.
There are conversations to be had about people just being crazy, and this is one of those conversations. If you are not having conversations with your kids, black, white, red, yellow, whatever, about not engaging people because you don't know, let me tell you how I feel. This might sound harsh. I really don't give a damn. If I see somebody who has decided to go and record a fight video and you get shot, I'm not sending money to your GoFundMe. The fuck? I'm not doing it because you made a conscious decision to go and be involved in something that you don't know what you could be getting into. That fight between Austin and Karmelo should have never ended in anybody dying, but you never really know what is going on in the head of somebody else. What we do know is that you took no measures to actually go to a resource officer or your coach who was 20 feet away to have him removed. You took matters into your own hands, and unfortunately, you ended up dead. You never know what the next person is willing to do. Not just the crack, but this man is a cautionary tale and should be a cautionary tale for people.
White repeated the conversation he says he had with Doolittle after the shooting.
He said, look, you shot him.
And what did he do?
Started laughing.
Levy had been married only 4 days when he was shot.
But I always had my dream.
That's so funny that you say that. Yes, I can't, like, we're about to get into Austin's dad, and it's so deep, but it's funny that you mentioned that because in this argument I was going to mention, you never really know. There is a black guy who goes up to people in New York and asks them anytime that there's like an interracial couple or whatever, you know, are you supposed to be here with this person? Well, this time it was a man who had adopted a black child, and he followed him saying, you supposed to have that baby? Are you kidnapping that black baby? You never know how that man would have reacted to that. But it's so funny that you brought that up because I was going to show that video. We just don't have time. Off of Charleston. I want to get into the father. Now, one thing that, because I initially gave the father a lot of grace. We're talking, oh, no, sorry. We got one more about Andrew. So I take personal offense at the people who are consistently talking about Carmelo Anthony's parents and their living situation. The Daily Mail did a whole thing on him, you know, receiving Amazon packages at a $900,000 home. This man paid this boy's bail before he received any money from a Give, Go, Send. This man took care of his entire family on his salary. People lied and said he was driving an Escalade. He worked at a car lot. He had a Tahoe. He has a family of what, like 6? What are you supposed to be driving? The implication that this is not racial, while we are counting the pockets of a black man who is well-to-do, a manager at a car lot is disgusting. That is what the media turned this into. A witch hunt about money. Because what? Black people can't make money? Black people can't drive new cars? I want to show you this video that a content creator did that was extremely informative. After Carmelo Anthony's father lost his job, he started working for Charleston White. But she went and found out what was going on when he was the finance manager at a major car lot. I don't know if I want to paraphrase or show you guys.
The boy who poked and unalived an innocent boy at the Frisco track meet. Receipt number 2. Someone was in my inbox asking me questions, so I decided to ask them questions. And I said, someone said that a few people did applications and once approved, they refused to buy cars. And this person said, yeah, I'm fully aware of that. I did not do it myself. I just called the dealership and told them that they would not be selling a car to me. Sidebar, the person that wrote this message was the same person that left a review. This person goes on to say, but I know people that went in and drove cars and spent a very long time taking up a lot of the salesperson time. And then also, according to what they said, went through financing because they wanted to see if he was there. Now, why did they want to see that he was there? I don't know. And this person continued and said, and anyway, the whole song and dance, and then walked out and made it clear that they and nobody they knew would be shopping there. The dealership was really worried because they really care about their reputation. Receipt number 3. To give you all some context, I asked this individual, why are you all basically trying to take away the means for this father to support his family? And here's what they said. Listen, I got that you're looking at this from the outside in, but we as women in this community and as mother of children in this community don't want a murderer's family living here. I know that they have to. I know they can't go anywhere else. And then they said some other stuff that I think.
So we're mad that they have a GoFundMe set up. You have people driving by their house. They lived in a gated community, but it was only $3,500 a month. And that meant that they would have a guard so people couldn't just come in. However, they doxed them. They got the man fired. And him and his other children who did not commit any crimes were not safe. So we are going to vilify them for, I'm assuming, majority Black people paying into a give, go, send so that there is money for an attorney, and also so that the kids are safe because people are driving by their house. They are ordering food to the house that they did not actually order. They are spraying, like they are going by and doing drive-bys with water guns. Those are all messages that you have to take extremely urgent when it comes to the protection of your family. So by the time he took a job with Charleston White, he had lost his good job. He wasn't going to be able to work there. They don't have the money to move out of state. I don't think that they could have moved out of state because the bond that they got, that they paid for before the give, go, send, ensured that this boy was going to stay in the state of Texas. So again, why are we vilifying this man who had the nuclear family that every conservative likes to say that Black men aren't? I was really losing my mind as I went over this case. I didn't want to come out here and be one of those people who blew smoke up your ass or who just took a headline and ran off that, because the more I dived in, the more that I actually listened to all of this coded language, it made sense. Even if it wasn't a racially motivated thing that people could see outwardly, there were some biases in the home. And again, I'm not taking this off just out of the air. These are things that the father has said, and we're about to get into it. We are about to get into it. I don't have to show you the man who. I don't have to show you all this, like the man who went in the bathroom with his children, his 2 girls, and somebody is calling the police on him because he can't mind his business. Since we're here, I want to show you this. Texas is a very conservative state. So I wanted to compare and contrast something that could be seen as similar to this case. In Florida, currently right now, there is a 16-year-old white boy who not only R-worded his stepsister, he then murdered her. And there was one other instance where he had sexually assaulted her earlier. He was released to his uncle with no bail.
16-year-old Timothy Hudson can await trial out of jail with certain restrictions. Prosecutors wanted his bond revoked now that he is being charged as an adult. Hudson has pleaded not guilty in the death of 18-year-old Anna Kepner. The Florida
Additionally, his uncle had 2 minor children. So they released somebody who R-worded their stepsister and murdered the stepsister to a home with 2 minors when there was already a history of sexual assault on the stepsister from him. Conversely, Ron DeSantis, DeSantis wanted this black judge removed because there was a white man who attempted to go meet a underage girl, got caught. She gave him a bond. While out on bond, he murdered his stepdaughter. So Ron DeSantis wants this lady removed because she gave somebody a bond who didn't have any priors. And according to, the metrics, she followed the rule of law. His stepdaughter had a case where, and this is a kid, she was being abused, but who are the people who ensure that kids aren't abused? Whatever that agency is failed her, and it wasn't reported. The judge didn't know that, but Ron DeSantis has gone on a tangent to get her removed. However, the judge that allowed the young white boy who did that to his stepsister to go home with the uncle with 2 minors, nothing was ever said. There was so much pushback that now, a couple days ago, they have now taken that white boy into custody. But that's another conservative state where the governor has an issue with what this black woman did, but not an issue with what a conservative Hispanic judge did involving a murder and an R word of a white girl. Additionally, you have a lot of conservative media who aren't saying anything about him not even having a bail. But we had to hear over and over again that they're saying that this family, the Karmelo Anthony's family, saying they don't have any money, but they are asking for a reduction in bail when they got a $600,000 give, go, send. That bail was paid before any of those monies were released to them. But that's not what they want you to hear. So I'm trying to keep an open mind because you guys know good, the bad, the ugly. I'll just give it to you straight. But all of the people are saying that this man is a grifter. The man who had the nuclear family is a grifter. But then they want you to believe that it's not racial. CPS, thank you. Luigi. You can say what you want about Luigi. Luigi murdered a CEO of a healthcare company. He got $1.5 million in donations. That the crowdfunding doesn't even know that Luigi will accept or not. The only person to actually say anything about it was the Democratic Pennsylvania governor, who denounced what Luigi did. There's no think pieces by conservative media about this white boy who murdered a white CEO who's a healthcare. In fact, he's been applauded. It's $6,000 letters. Nobody is saying anything about this. I think I'm missing something. Let's get into Jeff Metcalf. Now, most people are going to say the obvious when it comes to him. They're going to show you this, where he lost his fucking mind.
You know who your daddy is, because 78% of you don't have your father in the home anymore. You got baby mamas running around with 8 kids so they can get EBT cards to feed you all. You think I'm being racist? No, I'm being real. Oh, you got more melanin than me. Ooh, so you get more in privileges, more entitlement? Because 400 years ago, someone actually sold you to us, and we took you over here and put you to work. And then we had a civil war.
Okay, so what they showed, the watermelon felon, is only a microcosm of what this man actually said and how I can now relate it to his sons. What initially tipped me off that a conversation needed to be had about him was not the watermelon felon. It was the fact that if he is being invited on any legitimate newscast to discuss what happened to him and his family, why is he always talking about Black children not having their fathers? It was recurring. And I'm telling you, I've watched hours and hours and hours of Jeff Metcalf, not just this most recent interview. I've watched just about everything that I can get my hands on, dating to, I believe, either the first or second day after his son was murdered. It might have been he went and did something on the lawn the day that his son was murdered. All the time, all the while saying he has no desire for publicity. It's what he says about the Black family when that does not apply to his son's murder. If you are always talking about Black fathers not being in the home when your son was murdered by a Black boy whose father was in the home, you're telling on yourself.
Was raised with different values and morals, and I think today's society we're seeing with maybe single parent homes, because I'm a single parent too. It does create some issues for some people. Fortunately, me and Megan were both able to co-parent our kids, but I think it starts at home in today's society with the parents. They're the ones that give you the guidance, the moral compass, the values that you're going to be growing up with, and hopefully be a contributing factor to society in a productive way.
That's not what this father did. In fact, you are raising children from a broken home. That's your life, not the life of the quote unquote murderer that involves your son. If anything, you would be talking about it being a situation where the person who took your son's life came from a nuclear family who's ingrained in the church. You're not doing that, and there's a reason. We're going to get into a lot of different themes, but I want to touch on this because after I heard this, it changed the direction of one of my videos. I'm telling you, I've been so close to making this video multiple times, and then something always popped up.
Another Black kid, right? His name starts with a T. He said that when he saw Karmelo sitting there with his hand inside the backpack, he told Austin, don't do it. Leave him alone, basically, because I feel like he got something in the bag. You know what Austin says? He says, I don't believe he has a knife. We're in Frisco.
It's something so small. But as we get into Jeff and his belief systems, You will see. Remind me, this coincides. He said he does not have a knife. This is Frisco, which means he feels he has an understanding of who belongs in Frisco. This is Frisco, Texas. There would not be some black dude with a knife. I'm going to call your bluff. It's not what they say directly. Once you have all the information, y'all, I told you, it's something so simple. But when you connect the dots with the father and his belief systems, and you get past the I'm coming to pray with you, I don't want any attention, you will see that that is his mindset. And that's how I believe it was indoctrinated or ingrained for his children to have a bias they didn't even know that they had potentially. Maybe they did, and they're smart enough just not to say nigger or whatever, like the dad, because the dad says nigger with an ER. But buckle up. Worry About Yourself says you're doing an awesome job. Hit the like button. It's a free way to support the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This one I knew I really wasn't. Things that are like socially conscious, I have a passion for it. It's not my bread and butter on YouTube, but it's things that need to be said. This is what everybody already heard.
Y'all can let me make something racist up so y'all can go viral. I got a new name for Mello, okay? Because he was such a little boy y'all was trying to portray. How about Watermelon Felon? How's that one strike you? I hope he enjoyed his first night in that cell last night, because he's going to have many nights to think about what the fuck he did. I forgave him, so I don't carry the hate and the anger. So I don't get ate up.
So that's what you said. This is what you said to Nancy Grace, because remember, he forgave him.
So it seems to me this whole time you have not been focused on him going to prison for life or him getting a death penalty. It's not been about that. You just want your son to come back through the door.
Yes, but I know the reality.
Neither him nor Nancy shed a tear, and you're saying you forgave somebody, but you're giving interviews saying this. He would have 100% supported the death penalty if Karmelo had been 18 at the time of the incident, but he wouldn't comment on if he'd be in favor of it no matter what Anthony's age was. What now? So when you're having fake tears with Nancy Grace, and she's saying it's not like you wanted the death penalty, and you're giving somebody else another interview saying, I wanted the death penalty, he just wasn't 18. But we're supposed to believe that you wanted to go to pray with Karmelo Anthony's family on live television at their press conference, where you wouldn't technically say what you were there for and also refused to leave, but then allowed the media to run with you'd actually just gone there to pray. Y'all, I can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up. I saw somebody in the chat mention Frisco, Texas. On the surface, before hearing everything that Jeff says in regards to who belongs in Frisco, I could see where you're going with that. But after you know who he actually deems worthy of being in his town, then it might change how you view what his son said about this is Frisco. He doesn't have a knife.
We'll ask you, do you know Jeff Metcalf? Yeah. What do you think about him? He's an asshole. Or he's the greatest guy who'll give you the shirt off his back. So they both can be right. Because I give what you get. Or what you give to me, I'll give you back. So am I racist? Yeah, I'm racist against assholes. I don't like them. I could care less about the color of your skin. We all bleed the same color.
You're either racist or you're not. You're not racist if somebody says something to you, then it allows you to unload every trope that you can think of. Then that means you already had that bias. You were just waiting for it to come out. He doesn't like gay people.
Like Old Testament, eye for an eye, Sodom and Gomorrah, turn to stone, man lays with a man, you die. I mean, this is all your personal choices. It's none of my business. I stay in my lane. Just don't come in my lane with your bullshit. I respect everyone until they disrespect me. Your character says it all. I don't have to say a damn word. Your actions speak for themselves. You and your little faggot bow tie? What the hell is that, dude? Maybe you and Chris King are butt buddies. Like y'all swap ties and shit. I don't know. He lives in Washington and he's lived here in Plano. He thinks he's some intelligent.
Let me see.
Just visit Chicago for a weekend. How many shootings do they have? And they have gun laws. Woo-hoo. How's that working out for you guys? If you told me after 9/11 that New York would have a Muslim mayor in a sanctuary city, I would tell you you're crazy because we were all gung-ho, USA, all the way, patriotic, love my country. And now look where we're at. How do we get there? Who's responsible for our youth? Who? They're the leaders of tomorrow. What are you doing to prepare them? How are you teaching them? What are you showing them? When you act out and your kids see you, they think that's an appropriate behavior. They assume it's okay because mommy and daddy do it. All you people out there.
It's a lot of you peoples. He doesn't like Muslims. He doesn't like the fact that Muslims are running New York. He says that's unpatriotic. Let me pull up a couple more for you. He went from saying he doesn't see color to doing numerous interviews where he talks specifically about MAGA talking points. I want to. That's crazy. I had it up yesterday. Okay. Let's get into one of the accusations that was made. Multiple people said that there were issues with alcohol. I've never seen any proof to that, so I wasn't going to talk about it. But then the same person who talked about the alcohol also talked about an instance where Austin or one of the boys had to protect the mother from him. They alleged domestic violence, and that Austin had actually physically hurt him while trying to protect the mom. I don't really go based on rumors, but he responded to it, and you guys can kind of make out how you feel about it. The allegation was that they had to protect their mother from a domestic violence incident involving him, and he responded in this way.
Going drilling, basically doing drills. And I put myself in a wrong position, and when I tried to move, I knew it hurt my shoulder. That was that. No one broke my shoulder. No one fought me. Once again, your narratives, where do y'all come up with this crap? You sit at home and think and have no job and take your EBT card to Walmart? I don't understand this shit. Why in the world do you come up with crap about a dead kid and you want to attack me and his brother and his...
Let me see. Oh man, I think I deleted the one where he was talking about sanctuary cities and how Indian people in Dallas potentially had fraudulent visas in order to work here, and that those were the type of people who should not be in this community. So those were some of the correlations that I made to his son saying, you know, this isn't what people do in Frisco, Texas.
Big
Let me see.
fag dude from Arizona, Lady Gaga, gag on something. I don't know his name. Mr. Tough Guy talks big shit like he's gonna come find me. Oh, Gene Jeff. Guess what? Go suck a dick, dude. That's your favorite hobby.
This did not age well, where he was talking about all of these people being the only people in their family without a
Squeaky
record.
clean. You're the only one in your family without a damn record. I guess that's something to brag about in your culture. You people hang your hat on the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
So then I reached out to Simone from Girl Is That Legal to verify that this was accurate. So while you're talking about people who don't have a nuclear family, even though Karmelo had one, you're talking about people who have a background. And then we find out that back in 2011, well, the first thing we found out was that you didn't have a neck. There's no neck in sight. The second thing that we found out was that let me take this comment off. Was that you were picked up for sexual assault. So June 14th, 2011, you were picked up for sexual assault at the age of, I believe, 46. Okay. I don't know if I'm more disturbed by the neck or the charge. So you don't like Muslims in New York. You are comfortable saying you don't like certain types of black people. They don't belong in your community. You talk about FAGs. You talk about black men not being in the home, even though you're not in the home. You talk about your father being a horrible father.
It's okay to do that because mom and dad do it. Trust me. You can break the chain. I'm living proof. My father was probably one of the worst fathers ever in the world. And that's okay.
These things don't apply to what happened to your son. Do you guys get what? This does not apply. Why are you doing interviews talking about black people who do not have nuclear families when Karmelo has a nuclear family? You have aspirations either to, be a figurehead in the MAGA party. There is something there. You are telling the public something that you are not actually doing. Listen to this.
I have been approached for documentaries, books, podcasts, speaking appearances, and I really don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't decided. Like I said, my whole focus was on this trial.
But then Nancy, hold on, do I have this queued up? This was funny to me. Nancy Grace, with no tears, is telling him that he is an inspiration.
Which is the same age as my son now, Hunter. I was 18, 10 foot tall, and bulletproof. I knew everything, and my parents were dipshits. I was so amazed by the age 26 about how smart they had become. Yeah. From people who don't even know me. Telling me I'm some sort of inspiration? No, I'm not. I'm a human being. That's God working through me. I am nothing special.
And Nancy goes on to say, you are something special. You are. everyone thinks it. Most of the world thinks that you are special. Now, what I can say about Nancy is she usually has an issue with people who have sexual assault on their record. I don't know where she stands with people with no necks, but she definitely typically takes a stand with people who have sexual assault on their record. Not today, though.
Nice text messages, or even actually call me sometimes and just express to me. They tell me I'm some sort of inspiration, or I'm just a man, and God works through many people in many ways. I'm nothing special, but
not
I do
according
believe
to the majority of the public. You're very special, and you stand for something.
So again, we're vilifying Karmelo's family, who had nothing to do with the murder. And for everything that we've known, nobody has shown proof that Karmelo was getting beat in the home. Nobody has shown any type of proof that Karmelo was a danger or a threat to society based on his upbringing before this at all. And we want to bankrupt and we want to destroy the family so that the one breadwinner of the family, the father, can never work again. Meanwhile, on the same day that his son passes away, Jeff creates a GoFundMe. With the $1 million goal, after doing a press conference outside in the yard, a press conference that your son didn't even want to be a part of because he comes home while you're doing it and they ask him, do you want to call the son over? And he's like, no. This money was supposed to be earmarked for the funeral. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that when you're doing a GoFundMe and you've lost somebody, whether it's your son, a dog had $150,000 overnight that was murdered by the LAPD. But you earmarked this for funeral expenses, but you asked for $1 million. I want to go a little bit in depth, very briefly, on some of the things that were concerning to me in a real way. If my son were murdered at a track meet where somebody got a knife into the track meet, outside of wanting justice, I would want to ensure that other children did not have that. So my first goal would be to ensure that that school district does not allow weapons, thorough searches, resource officers. That's not the impression that I got listening to him. What he actually said was, now they have it in place that people get searched. Well, no, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make sure that it didn't happen in the first place and then to correct it so that it doesn't happen to another child. But they're asking, do you have any desire to sue? And he's upset because there's a $100,000 cap on lawsuits in Texas to sue a school. So he does not want to spend any of this $600,000 that we don't know if any of it went to his son's education or anything, because it was only to help the family heal and bury the son. We don't know if that's happening. What we do know is you are having conversations on how much you can get from the school district, and you have had thoughts of bankrupting Karmelo's family, where there are two small children who never harmed a fly.
Not know at this time what I'm going to do in the future. I was so focused on just getting through the trial. That was the biggest hurdle and the most weight on my shoulders and the most anxiety. So I really wasn't planning that far ahead. Is it an option? Yeah, I'll explore it. Is it worth my time? I don't know yet. Because realistically, I want to move on. I don't want to keep dragging things out. And if they spend all the money, there's nothing to get anyway. So I really don't care. Money's not going to bring my son back. Going after them, even if I bankrupt them or whatever, it's not going to bring my son back. And you have to learn forgiveness.
Remember, he wanted the death penalty. Somebody says, why did they lock the Anthony's family GoFundMe? Technically, nobody really wants to touch any type of funding for somebody who's accused of murder. What they should have done at the very beginning was done some form of like crowdfunding and not something like Give, Go, Send, or GoFundMe. So once the money was supposed to be, or part of the money was supposed to be earmarked for the criminal defense, because technically he had not been declared a murderer yet. He was just the accused, and that was the loophole that they used to do it. After he was a murderer, then they had to shut it off because that's against their bylaws. And that particular one does not take any money out. 100% goes to whoever is doing whoever is doing the Give, Go, Send. And they just say, please make a donation afterwards so that we can keep it free for other people. So it's not like GoFundMe where I think they take about 30%. In this situation, they should have just done some type of crowdfunding. Again, they're not savvy to all of this. They've not really been in trouble, unlike Jeff before. And I think that they definitely got taken advantage of. And I also think that they didn't do their due diligence because they just were not prepared and they were not ready for the onslaught of what was about to happen to them. But again, if you heard Jeff himself say, everything is on the table, and that he might sue them. There was something else, not just him being an inspiration.
Nice text messages, or even actually call me sometimes and just express to me, they tell me I'm some sort of inspiration, or I'm just a man, and God works through many people in many ways. I'm nothing special, but
not according to
from people who don't even know me, telling me I'm some sort of inspiration. No, I'm not.
Does that sound familiar?
From people who don't even know me, telling me I'm some sort of inspiration. No, I'm not. I'm a human being. Nice text messages, or even actually call me sometimes and just express to me, they tell me I'm some sort of inspiration, or I'm just a man, and God works through many people.
So from the beginning, he said, don't make this a racial thing. But everything that you've said after the gag order is removed lets the people see you have some biases at the very least. Now you're going from place to place and you are spewing the same talking points. And I do believe he has aspirations for
I have been approached for documentaries, books, podcasts, speaking appearances, and I really don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't decided. Like I said, my whole focus was on this trial.
The trial's over, and now you're doing interview after interview. Lastly, there was a guy named Jeff Lang. Jeff Lang was a January 6er who got pardoned. He spent 4 years in jail, and now he's running amok across America. 3 weeks after Austin was murdered, he did a rally at the same stadium where Austin was murdered. Jeff did not like, or he told people that he did not like that his son's image was being used. So what does Jeff do?
Yes, Jake Lang. Well, guess what? My friend Bruce Carter, yeah, the big black boy with the cowboy hat on, yeah, my buddy. I said, Bruce, you have to go to my place. The DA says I can't go.
The big black boy. You refer to your friend as the big black boy in the cowboy hat. This is problematic at least, but let's look at what this actually looks like, because this shows he has a black friend, right? We know that Jeff Lang is a January 6er who is trying to cause racial tensions to go through the roof in Dallas, utilizing Karmelo and Austin. Jeff is disavowing this man, and Jeff has sent his black friend. His black friend is famous for starting an organization called Blacks for Bernie. He then realizes that there's no money in that after Bernie does not win the nomination. So what does he do? He becomes a Trump operative. You go from Bernie Sanders to Trump. And he says, as an entrepreneur, you have to figure out how to monetize the situation. Bruce was able to monetize it just a little bit better on the Trump side. For now, Carter's in South Carolina ahead of the gubernatorial race. He's working on a political group called the People's Ticket, which is targeting single mothers, felons, and hospitality workers. Carter was the subject of a Bloomberg News report that chronicled how a reporter for the right-wing website Breitbart courted him as part of an effort to win or suppress black votes in the 2016 election. This is the black boy in the cowboy hat. Mr. No Neck, I'm Not Racist Jeff sent his black friend to a rally to tell them to stop using his son's image because I don't want you doing that. But when you look at Jake Lang's talking points, they all mirror Jeff. From talking about New York being a sanctuary city that's overrun with Muslims and how that's un-American, to talking about FAGs, his word, not mine, and getting it done in the butt and sucking D, to him talking about Indian people in Dallas who potentially have fraudulent H-1 visas, to acknowledging that he's racist against people he doesn't like. These things all align with Jake Lang's talking points. That all came from Jeff's mouth. So at that rally, Jake Lang had his boy, a black man, standing next to him at this rally. Jeff sends his boy, a person who targets felons, single mothers, to either win their vote for Trump or suppress their vote. So the Bloomberg reporter actually went a step further, and the places where he had actually gone to rally the people for Trump or suppress votes got more votes for Trump, and a lot of black people did not go out to vote in his area. Y'all, I can't make this up. I can't make this shit up. You have people like the lead attorney doing a video on how the family was very wrong for embarrassing Jeff by not letting him pray. The thing is, when I watched the video from the lead attorney, he made sense, but he's an attorney, and what he's supposed to do is let you know what the optics look like. What he did not say is what the reality was. And the reality was anybody with two eyes could see that Jeff did not go to Carmelo Anthony's family's press conference in order to pray with them. Jeff was going for a moment. Now, I do agree with the lead attorney in this video that he did. They probably should have played the game, talked to, a crisis counselor really quick or somebody that they trusted to see how they could play it with him. But he's playing the game. He's just not smart enough to play it because people are more savvy than this. We're not buying it. This man is, mark my words, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a political career that he's looking for, he is going to be doing speeches. He is going to be taking paid. He's going to be taking a fee to speak. I guarantee. Mark my words. But guys, like I said, this is not all of my content. For me, these last 6 or 7 days, it's been hard because this subject matter is not great. But I felt like somebody needed to come out and just give the real. There's a little fault to go around, from the school to the kids. All of this was avoidable. And I would start with ego. Now one boy is dead and another boy is potentially going to spend the next 35 years behind bars, and nobody is really talking about how this is absolutely unnecessary. They would rather vilify and completely destroy a black family who had nothing to do with this. And let me tell you the craziest part. I wanted to show you this video, and I had this whole shit planned out where I was going to show you a picture of, let me take this off. I was going to show you a picture of this man and let you hear a video with him talking. But now I don't feel like it. Let me just give you the real. It's not this white man. These talking points are coming from a black man.
He wants people to believe that it should be illegal if you are not represented by someone who looks like you on the jury. You see, this is the problem with identity politics and particularly culture. When we see things from the lens of race, that's all we see. Meaning we're putting people's skin color ahead of character. Remember, black culture props up MLK Jr. Doesn't that contradict exactly what he wants us to do?
I was going to let y'all hear that video and put this white man's picture up, but I don't even feel like doing it. This is this black man. You would have never known that this was a black man. You would have never known that this bullshit was coming from a black man. Now, I've had years of speech therapy. I would say that, I'm not the most articulate person, but I don't talk like this. And I don't talk about how race is, they're biased. Isn't that what the black race? Are we looking at? Are you not part of the black race? Maybe I missed something. But I had to do this video because there's person after person after person saying that there are no racial issues in America. And then they get a black man with a substantial size audience to come out and say these things. And then when I go through this person's comments, it's basically a ton of white people saying, you're one of the good ones. Yeah, I'm so glad you said it. Just because he said it and he's black does not make it true. Willie D is not anybody's attorney. So he's not a voice for, he's not Charleston White. I mean, not to say that. He's definitely not Charles. I don't dislike him like I dislike Charleston White. But the point is, somebody has to talk, because this man definitely spewed out bullshit. And he did it in the name of appealing to white people. And they are sopping it up like a biscuit. Anyway, I got to run. Thank you so much. This took 7 days. And I'm sure I missed some parts, but I'm tired now. I can't wait to get back to my normal content. If anything else really crazy pops up, it'll definitely be a shorter video, but I wanted to get this out. I feel sorry for, both families will never be the same. And this is horrible. No. He's not. I didn't say he wasn't on the side of the Anthony family. This guy was using his video to talk about the disparity in the jury. No, Willie was not on Jeff's side. Anyway, I gotta run. Thank you so much.